Still regarding the essence and the divine names, now we are going to explore the two further. Let's start with two quotes from Ibn Arabi. If there had been no distinction, a certain divine name would have been interpreted according to all its aspects in the same manner as another name is interpreted. The name the strengthener is not interpreted in the same manner as the debaser, and so on. However, from the point of view of the unity, they are the same. As you see, every name is a proof of the essence and of its reality with respect to its identity. For the named is one and the strengthener is the debaser with respect to the named. However, the strengthener is not the debaser with respect to their own entities and realities, for our understanding of each of them is different. There is a great difference between the forgiving on the one hand and the outward and the inward on the other. The same with regard to the first and the last. This becomes clear to you through the notion that each name is identical to another in essence, and through the notion that each name differs from another. With respect to the essence, each name is al-Haq, and with respect to the otherness, it is the imagined al-Haq or al-Haq al-Mutakhayyal, which concerns us. We have already discussed that according to Ibn Arabi, in terms of his essence, God is independent of and doesn't need cosmos at all. This attribute, rich or independent, is the attribute of Tanzi that belongs only to God. Because God is rich, the whole cosmos is poor. Because God is independent, the whole cosmos is dependent. All the opposite attributes of God's Tanzi become the attributes of the whole cosmos. To emphasize that the whole cosmos is in very need of God, Ibn Arabi often quotes a Quranic verse, "O mankind, you are needful of God, and He is the self-sufficient, the praised." The whole cosmos is in need of God as their food, so that the whole cosmos becomes existent, survives, and endure. Thus, God here becomes the ultimate cause, the cause of the causes, musabbibul asbab, of the realization of all things. In order to eat their food, that is wujud, the whole cosmos must depend on God as the ultimate cause through causes which are none other than the divine names themselves, because God makes those causes His names. Ibn Arabi explains, you should know that possible things have essential dependence. The dependence never ceases to be attributed to them forever. So, God establishes the causes that bring about the possible things. In other words, God makes the causes names for Him. The dependent nature that the whole cosmos possesses is addressed to God through His names. In other words, the whole cosmos needs the names of God continuously. So here we see that this continuity shows the tajalli of al-Haq in the whole cosmos as a new creation. It is quite clear that the whole cosmos needs God through His names, so God through His names, needed by the whole cosmos, manifests Himself in the cosmos on and on, continuously. Quote, all things in the cosmos basically need causes. The greatest cause for them is al-Haq, whose causality is embodied in the divine names which all things need. The divine names mean each name which the things are in need of, that is, things of the cosmos or the essence of al-Haq, which is God, no other. Well, the so-called divine names, Asma'ul Ilahiyah, are all names that the whole cosmos needs. From this point of view, these divine names are the causes for the existence of the cosmos. Therefore, everything in the cosmos really needs these divine names. In other words, the divine names are as many as the objects and events that exist in the whole cosmos. In this regard, Ibn Arabi asserts, names from the cosmos itself or from al-Haq Himself. This means that the divine names have two types, the divine names from the cosmos and the divine names from al-Haq. The former refers to every name of the cosmos, such as a father in relation to his child, because the father is the cause of the child, and the father is the sustenance of the child. So in this case, father is the divine name of the type from cosmos that the child needs. Well, the second, the divine names from the type of al-Haq, refers to every name needed by the whole cosmos from the names of al-Haq that are not possessed by the names from the cosmos. Or that means the cosmos itself doesn't have the names. The names of this type, in relation to the father and his child, are the creator and the shaper of beauty, both of which are needed by the child. Even though the existence of the child becomes possible owing to the father, it is ontologically the creator and the shaper of beauty becoming the cause of the child. So al-Haq works through the causes of the cosmos, which are intermediate causes. A child who needs a father shows that God creates, gives sustenance, and nurtures the child through the father. Father is the intermediary cause, and the only real cause is al-Haq. As a matter of fact, these two types of names are nothing but the same reality, because the names of the cosmos are the loci of the tajalli of the divine names, where the divine names, as we have explained, refer and are identical to the object named. It has his essence. Quote, thus he says, O mankind, you are needful of God, and is the self-sufficient, the praised. Besides this, it is well known that we are also mutually dependent. Therefore, our true names are God's names, since all depend on Him. At the same time, our essential selves are His shadow. He is at once our identity and not our identity. We have paved the way for you, so contemplate. The verse of the Quran quoted by Ibn Arabi demonstrates that the names of the cosmos are the names of God, because the verse says, you are needful of God, not you are needful of the names of God. So we realize that the names of the cosmos are none other than the names of God, which also refers to his essence. Then Ibn Arabi asserts that every possible thing in the cosmos is his shadow, by stressing that he is both us and not us, he and not he. The principle of coincidentia oppositorum here really binds strongly to the essential identity of our being. We have already discussed that the whole cosmos is the effect and God is the true cause of the cosmos. However, God as an essential cause needs causes, namely his names. In this case, keep in mind that his names serve to embody the entire cosmos. Without his names, God cannot manifest himself, so the whole cosmos becomes impossible things. Put simply, the divine names become intermediate between al-Haq and the cosmos, because in terms of his essence, God doesn't have a direct relationship, but the relationship takes place through the intermediary of his names. On the one hand, the divine names name, refer to, and describe God, but on the other hand, they give effects to the whole cosmos that originates from God. Since the divine names occupy the intermediary position between God and the whole cosmos, Ibn Arabi calls the divine names barzakh. Ibn Arabi says, thus the divine names are the barzakh between us and the object named. It has his essence. The names refer to him because they are his names, and the names refer to us because they give us the effects emanating from the object named. Therefore, the names makes the object named knowable and also make us knowable. So because of the position of the divine names as intermediaries or barzakh, Ibn Arabi views these names as relations, an-nisab, namely relations between the whole cosmos and God, or between al-Khalq and al-Haq, or between the many and the one. Each divine name marks the relationship between God and the cosmos. It is significant to note that without his relations with the whole cosmos, God doesn't have the divine names. The Creator is a name of God, which means that God creates the cosmos. The All-Compassionate is a name of God, which means that God is always the most compassionate one to the entire cosmos. And so are the other names. All the names of God are impossible if they are not related to the whole cosmos. Therefore, Ibn Arabi maintains, know that the beautiful names of God are relations. In another passage, he explains, in fact, what we are asserting is the relations themselves. Shara, or the divine law, calls them names. Each name has a meaning that no other name has, and that meaning comes from the essence of al-Haq. Muslim theologians call the meaning attributes, and those who have verified the truth, al-Arifun, call it relation. Then, in fact, the relations are different from one another. The will is different from the power, all-speaking, all-living, or all-knowing. The perfectly wise gives that which is not given by any other name. Then call them relations, names, or attributes. It is best to call them names, and so they should be, because the Shara doesn't mention the attributes or relations with regard to al-Haq, but only mentions names. He says, unto God belongs to the most beautiful names, and the names are nothing but relations. Ibn Arabi is one of those who call the names relations. It is important to note that these relations differ from one another. As we explained previously, that the divine names, insofar as they denote their specific meanings or realities, are different from one another. Then the question is, do the relations have their ontological realities? Ibn Arabi answers, the names are relations and names that denote realities that exist only in the mind or intelligible objects, not ontological realities. In our previous discussion, we asserted that the tajalli of al-Haq is infinite and never repeats itself. In this case, the tajalli is the manifestation of the divine names, which means that the whole cosmos that is persistently changing is the result of the manifestations of the divine names. The infinity of entities in the cosmos shows that the divine names are also infinite. Indeed, The divine names that we know as beautiful names or Asma'ul Husna are 99, although there are 150 as implicitly stated in the Quran. But there is another opinion that states that the divine names are 1001. Actually, the divine names are not limited, but we can squeeze them down to 1001 or 150 or 99, or even Ahlus Sunnah reduces them to 20, which is known as the 20 attributes. However, the infinity of the divine names, if seen as causes and relations, is the one reality. Quote, God's names are infinite because they are known through the infinite things which derive from them. Even if their sources are finite principles, that is the foundations of the names or the presences of the names. Truly, there is only one reality which receives all these relations and attributions which are called the divine names. The reality grants to every name, which appears endlessly, an essence by which a name is distinguished from all others. This peculiar essence constitutes the name itself, not the characteristics the name shares with others. Likewise, gifts differ from each other through their distinctive characteristics, even though they derive from the same source. It is known that each differs from all others. The reason for this is the distinction of the names, for a thing never repeats itself because of the expansion of the plane of divinity. It is known that all divine names refer to one reality, and that means all names are one. Nevertheless, we cannot say that all divine names are the same or at the same rank. According to Ibn Arabi, there is a difference in rank amongst the divine names. This difference corresponds to the difference in rank amongst the entities in the cosmos. And of course, we can understand this because we already know that the existence of the divine names is according to the ontological demands of the possible things. This view is Ibn Arabi's understanding of the two verses of the Quran. And God has favored some of you above others in provision. And the verse, He it is who appointed you vicegerents upon the earth and raised some of you by degrees above others. There are three criteria we can use to explain this: prerequisite, inclusion, and linkage. The first, the prerequisite, asserts that a name is a state that prepares for the existence of other names. Ibn Arabi explains, indeed, the rank of the ever-living one is the greatest amongst the other names because the ever-living one is a prerequisite for the existence of names. It is true that the ever-living one is a prerequisite for the knower of all, the will, and the power. The last three names are impossible without the first name. The knower of all is a prerequisite for the will and the power, while the will is prerequisite for the power. The power wouldn't exist without the will wouldn't exist without the knower of all, and the knower of all wouldn't exist without the ever-living. Therefore, the ever-living is superior to the knower is higher than the will, and the will is higher than the power. The second is inclusion. One name has inclusion containing another name. This means that the latter is included by the former. Names that are bigger or wider are higher than names that are smaller or narrower. In other words, a higher name can include all other lower names. So, the knower, the will, and the power are within the inclusion of the ever-living one. The will and the power is in the inclusion of the knower. The power is in the inclusion of the will. Therefore, the ever-living one is superior to the knower is higher than the will, and the will is higher than the power. The third is linkage. This linkage emphasizes the connection between names and the object named, that is God, or between names and their effects, the whole cosmos. If a name has a greater linkage than another, the first is higher than the second. The linkage of the ever-living one to God is greater than the linkage of the knower, the will, and the power. Apart from the three criteria we use to understand the hierarchy of the divine names, Ibn Arabi asserts, the transcendent by virtue of himself is he who possesses perfection, through which he includes all the existence and non-existence relationships in such a way that no trait of them escapes him, whether these traits are praiseworthy or blameworthy from the point of view of custom, intellect, or religion. This applies only to the name Allah. In this regard, Al-Qashani comments on it. Ibn Arabi asserts that such an essential height and an absolute perfection can only belong to the One, as determined by the primary self-determination on the level of the oneness, which gathers together all the names. And this is the greatest name, Al-Ismul A'zam, which is the very thing designated by the name Allah or the name Ar-Rahman, merciful. In this state, all the divine names which have a positive effect on the things of the cosmos are considered together as a unity. They are not considered in their aspect of multiplicity. Of all the divine names, the all-encompassing names is Ar-Rahman, the most merciful, because it gathers all other names together into an ontological unity. And al-Haq on this level of unity is called Allah or Allah. The two names Ar-Rahman and Allah will be discussed specifically another time. So subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. See you soon.